Alright guys, I want you guys to look at something. So we see we got this massive move up, and I'm on Floki, so it really doesn't matter what asset. If we chose sheep, we see the same thing. XRP, same thing, right? So what do you notice? We have a massive push up, but we need to look at what Bitcoin dominance. All right. When I saw this fall out, look at this. The dominance is falling. All right, so this is a good sign. All right, you definitely want to see this thing. So we're at 57%. Now, in order for us to probably really be in the alt season, probably need to get into the 40s. But coming on down is real good. So it's a 30-minute chart. Let's go to the 4-hour, and we see where we are. So if we go up here, we look. This is in June of 2025. All right. So this is the peak. So if you take this peak, all right, and so let's go look at. We do XRP. All right. Let's go back to. Here we go. I want you to look at something. All right, so this is June down here at XRP. XRP was at $1.92. All right, and it's April. So here we go from here. All right, and then we went on a rip. Okay, but you gotta pay attention also to where we had. Let me see. Where we had. Peaked on that dominance. So it grew 91% from there. But like I said, if you go back here to the dominance, right, you see up here, and you see the drop. But what did XRP do? XRP went what? Vertical. So this is what we're saying about a rotation. So with Bitcoin dominance, all right, you need a rotation where at the time 65% of most of the liquidity was inside of Bitcoin, but over time it rotated out, right, and then they began to what, go into altcoins. Now even these spikes up here, right, you start looking on the chart, you'll see that alts will be bleeding during this time, right, and then once it goes back into the dominance of reducing, the alts are starting to catch up. We also want to look at Ethereum. All right, and let's see what Ethereum is doing. Okay, so Ethereum is definitely broken out. All right, and not 100%. So let me check to see what its all-time high is. Yep. All right, so 15 minutes ago, Ethereum just broke its all-time high. All right, so we need to get ready. This is probably go time. You got to start paying attention. You probably gonna see some things that are ripping. All right, it is what it is. So I don't know how violent this is gonna get, but Ethereum has broke its all-time high. Ethereum typically goes first. Once it does that, then you're gonna have your. So these are your blue chip. These are your blue chips. All right. So your blue chips are gonna be your Ethereum, your chain links, your Solanas, things like that. The crypto projects that are basically within the top 25 or so, big large caps, if that makes sense. All right. And then after that, you're gonna start seeing some of your mids and then your lows. All right. Your lows are gonna probably outperform a lot of your mids and some of the blue chips. That's because it got less liquidity and it doesn't take much for it to run. But however, you still can make a substantial amount of money on those. Just don't get married to it. So basically, what I mean by that is that you got a lot of these that could go 100x. When I say a lot, I mean, don't think that I'm just saying like majority of the market. So a lot to me is like maybe 4 or 5 something different projects. Do you know which ones those be? No, we don't. All right, so that's why you got to use the tier strategies because I don't know what's going to do 100x. So if you're waiting around for something to do 100x, it may not get there. What if it do 20x, 30x, and that's the most that it'll do? What if it just do 15? What if it do 10x? Are you satisfied? So a lot of times people are holding on to crypto projects because they think that it can do more, and I've been subject to that mistake. All right, that's why the tier strategy was created. A lot of people will do that. Okay, you see 6, 7 figures worth, and you think they're going to keep going. Hey, this game is not like that. All right. So as you can see, like I said, we broke the all-time highs. We're up here. All right, we got a lot of things that transpire. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. We can play the devil's advocate as well too. All right. So right now, yes, we've broken. All right. This is a scenario I got on Sheed. Okay. So far it's playing out. All right. I had this based off this extension. I had price coming up in here, but from here, I also may have it rolling over. Now, uh, we shall see. Right? There's a lot of stuff that's transpiring. Uh, we don't 100% know. Right? So this was a scenario. Okay. Currently, as I started this video, all right, we have broken the previous day high. So, literally, this would be a good one to do a short intraday trade using our Fibonacci, tool. All right, put across 23%. We'll see if we can get back down here between the 50 and 61% on a short. That'll be good. Since we're a little bit overextended, I will wait for price to come back above here, and I look for entry to go short. So just to take it back for a short term. All right. So we still could range bound up in here before we even move up to this point. But the good thing is, like I said, Ethereum breaking all-time highs. That is a great sign. All right. You definitely want to see that whenever you're talking about alt season. All right. You're going to see the Bitcoin dominance drop. We got that. Okay. So, but what we need to make sure is that we don't have any fake outs. All right. Now, isn't it ironic, right? So look, we broke the previous day low. Okay. Now, here's some devil advocate stuff I want you guys to pay attention to. All right. This was a support area right here. We broke the support area. All right. This could be what we call a liquidity sweep. Right? You gotta have this in your arsenal just in case. What do I mean? Well, price came down here. This could be a sweep, but also could do this. It could come back up into here, all right, and then we do something like that. All right, that's a possibility. All right, you can't rule it out. All right, you cannot rule it out. Let's see if we go on a chart and we make it find something similar like that. And here's one right here. Look at this setup right here. Right. So let's go back and let's do a bar replay. Yeah, let's go back to this. Okay, they don't allow bar replay on this Bitcoin dominance. Let's see if I go on a higher time frame if they allow, but they probably still won't. Let's do this. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. So all right, so let's do this. Let's go back to the 30-minute chart so you can see. And I want you to pay attention to this setup right here. All right, you see how this dominance is falling? All right. And we get down here, okay, and you notice what happened. What happened? I can say, look, support was what broken. All right, we get back down here, and then we push. All right, and we push even further up here, but then we eventually roll over. So all I'm saying is that don't take this out. That this can't happen. All right, this could possibly happen. You know, we can range, get up here, and then we can grind, get back up in here, and then roll over. Well, what would that look like? That would look like on, like I was telling you over here, all right? See, we already hit our targets to coming back down. So remember I said we look to get down to the 50%, 61. It's not strong. We already get to 50. All right, 61 is next. If I'd have been paying attention earlier, I definitely would have got in and shorted this. So I missed this opportunity just using the previous day high and low liquidity sweep. All right. So remember what I was telling you is that we can push up here. All right. That's because if we do get up here, that'd be the Bitcoin dominance. All right. But if Bitcoin dominance continues to recover and get stronger, then that means that this will fall. Okay. So you got to pay attention to that. All right. So yeah. Still be careful. Our targets were hit coming back down. Like I said, I wish I would have been able to got in earlier on this. All right. But we got a little bit of flashes of precursor. Like I said, September still could be a bearish month, guys. You got to be careful. There's a lot of people who are over leveraged. All right. In the meantime, if your assets are on discount, buy it up. It is what it is, right? So even if you see, pay attention to this BTC.D, right? Okay, pay attention. Okay, pay attention. Look. This is what a liquidity sweep on just the previous day. The previous day low. Okay, we should be able to play this. Right, here we go. Y'all know our strategy. You know how we play this. All right, we should be able to play this. All right, we'll see how they do. See if we can get back up to these levels based off it. All right, so dominance is not getting back strong. All right, here we go. So if we look over here, we should see a bounce. All right, see this? Now we should see a bounce and see if we can get back. All right, there might be some buying opportunity there. Now, here's what you definitely better pay attention to. I don't know if they'll count this as a double top, but let's put it on the receipt, and they did. All right, so this is double top. Here go the neckline. Y'all know how we like to trade to the neckline. So this thing could get down to the neckline. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go to the traditional targets. I typically don't trade double top to double bottoms to the target. So I could tell you whether or not it's going to go here. All right, but pay attention to that, okay? All right. All right, let's see what Ethereum doing. All right, same thing, came back in the range. All right, now it did show that it broke this, right? So this could be a precursor as well too, is that some of the alts that had some of the similar setups, they didn't break. If anything, I mean, they just barely, and then it rolled over. This one blasted through. But this also trapped a whole lot of traders. They went long. Let's look at the liquidation. All right. So let's go look at the ETH. All right. We're on the 4 hour. Let's look at the 1 hour. So right now, 86% were long on Bybit. It was 94%. All right. But Binance had a little bit of the traders that was in the right. So anyway, 84% long, but y'all just see what happened on this last count, this 30-minute candle right here. All right, it just wiped out all those, all right, traders. But let me see something else. I think, see, it's hard for me to actually trade where I'm doing this too. So I definitely feel like this would have been a great entry, because this is a demand zone as well too. As you can clearly see right here, right, take from the bottom candle to the top and just draw it all across. That's a demand zone, so this is pretty good. Price coming back in, could have went long on this one. But anyway, let's go look back over the 4 hour, and then you see that we had majority was short, 77, 72%. Even out here, 94%, but overall, it was 60% that was short. You got clear to see for the last 4 hours on at least Ethereum that grinding up. So those shorts were getting liquidated, right? And if you look at the last 12 hours, about the same, and last 24 hours, about the same. All right. Now let's look over here. 130,389 traders were liquidated. Total liquidation comes in at 543.5 million. All right, so this largest single liquidation happened on OKX, and it was a BTC USD pair. So it was a $12.49 million worth. All right, so yeah, that's that. Okay. So be out there, invest safe, trade safe, use proper risk management. Be on the lookout, but at the same time, guys, don't be such in a hurry with everything. All right, we like I said, we still need to look at this dominance, pay attention to it, but it's good that it is dropping to where it's at. All right, but once again, I got my levels drawn up, and if we start to fight to get back up, those other altcoins, they're going to bleed again. So as this moves up, it's going to bleed again. All right, it's about dominance. Now, if you want to, go ahead and we can look exactly at Bitcoin. All right, and you see a sharp rejection up here. So someone came in here at this 110 and they bought. All right, so y'all remember a couple days ago, I posted a Bitcoin chart, and I want to say it was on it could have been a 4 hour. Let me go back and see. But in doing so, I had what? My moving averages on here, and on the moving averages, all right, let me go back and let me check. All right, it was the daily chart. So let me go to the daily. All right, and let me see if it was regular USD. So let's go check over here. All right. Okay, yeah, it's a regular USD. So I posted this on August 19th. All right. And so I talked about how this moving average down here, which is the 200, is like a magnet. And I expected price to try to come and grind down to get up to meet to this. All right. So here you go. I said Bitcoin has engulfed the 50 MA. Now the 200 MA sits as a stronger target. All right. I told you I had stopped accumulating certain assets like ZBEC. Alts will bleed. I'm going to hold for a deeper correction. September looks bearish in my opinion, which will give many of you another chance to lower cheaper levels. All right, so that was that. So let's go and let's look on the Bitcoin daily, and we're going to do BTC USD instead, which is on Bitstamp. All right, and so you clearly see I have my moving average still down here, and you see how we look like we're trying to grind. Now, before we even get down here, we're going to have what we call pit stops. All right. If you clearly can look over here, you clearly see that we got levels where this is what used to be a resistance zone. All right. This used to be resistance. The price just came back and retested this resistance. You got to be careful. So look. A lot of people try to go short here. I don't know why. You gotta look left. You're at what used to be resistance is now the new support. This is a new support area. All right. What Bryce can do this. It can bounce all back up in here. In fact, it can go up here, make a new all-time new high, and then it can go back down. Who knows? All right. But remember, we're on a daily. We got all these levels that we can play with. At least price can come back up here and play with some of these levels. All right, before it even roll over, or it can fight to get back up and grind. All right. And if you hear the little squeaky noise, my dog is in the background playing with a toy. All right. So right now we just touched the 50%. Okay. Typically when we get down and when we break the 23% and then we go back above the 23%, we got a high probability we're at least gonna come to the 61% level. So this is a key level that we still can't come to, which brings us to the 107 area. Once again, this could this happen? Now you remember your moving average is going to move. All right, it's not going to just sit here and just wait for price to come down here. It's going to inch on up little by little. So I don't know by September next month, 20, 30 days from now, this thing could be sitting up here in the 104. Who knows? Regardless, Price wants to try to get here and touch it. Okay, price does not like to be far away from these moving averages. So the further away, all right, the more riskier it is. All right, price definitely want to try to get back. So let's go back and do a replay so you can sort of see what that looks like. All right, see how this looks? This is too far away. All right, now I want you to pay attention to this line as it grows, and you'll start seeing. See how it's moving? It's inching up. Then they met. Destiny. All right, fate, whatever you want to call it. All right, that's what happens. Okay, that's what that looks like. All right, you can see this, multiple times, throughout the chart history. Okay, of this happening. Same thing on the downside. All right, we can do this. We come back and maybe do something like. You see how far away we are? Eventually price is going to want to fight to try to get back. You see how it's starting to grind and inch on down, and they're trying to meet at an intercept. All right. So even though I told you that it looked like it's moving average, that price is going to change. It's not going to be where it was when I did the charts. All right. Because you see how it's still coming down, but they're trying to meet. All right. And then eventually when we get above here, all right, that is healthy. This is good. As long as price stays above this 200, we're definitely bullish. So what I mean, right? All right. So right now, Bitcoin is above all three move. I'm sorry. Well, not anymore. It was. All right. As long as it was above all three. See how this is? It's the 20, the 50, and the 200 is bullish. Now it's below these two, and it's only above here. Now this is still a good sign that we're still technically in bull territory, but your momentum somewhat is going to slow a little bit from getting pushed to the upside until you get back above these. All right. And then you got to be careful of having what we call a golden cross. All right. So if you have a golden cross, or some people call it death cross. All right. When you have that, like I said, things could spiral out of control. Okay. And typically the death cross is when the 50, which would be the red, crosses below the 200. And we get a death cross right here, but it was short-lived. It crossed below. Normally people think it's going to fall off, but it didn't. And it went up. All right. So other than that, man, that's it I got for the video. Hit the like button, subscribe. It's your boy E. White. I'm out.